All right, all right. Welcome, John, to the Cryptocosm. It is awesome at the Cryptocosm, and I'm so glad to have a fellow Texan here. So I feel right at
Thanks
home.
for having me. Welcome back. Digital,
Yeah,
welcome back.
digital. Yeah, yeah. Amen to that, man. I just wanted to share with the audience who was listening and how I found out about you is I just happened to find your profile in I guess this thing called Kitcaster. All I saw is your name. You're from Dallas, Texas, and there's something about crypto. So you know what? Let me talk to this guy. And next thing I know, he's in DeFi and doing a lot of amazing stuff in Texas. So
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you. We're worldwide. We're doing it worldwide. Not just I happen to be in Texas, but we're really currently establishing worldwide. So yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. First of all, I'm just excited to just actually, I would love to just talk more about, of course, your project because it's all about decentralized finance. So, but could you explain, like in simple terms, what DeFi is all about?
So to me, I think there's a big misunderstanding right now, or let's not call it a misunderstanding. Let's call it there's a big divergence in the breakdown or the definition of what DeFi is. So I'll explain maybe the two different versions that I see, and I'll tell you where we are. Okay, so the two different versions that I see are you have the purist, the maximalist, who calls DeFi a decentralized, you don't know who the developers are, or the very, the who they are can be anybody. They can come in and out. Some dock, some don't. You have a platform that's run by who knows who pushes the button, who turns it on, who turns it off. And then you have the benefit of this decentralized financial system being able to benefit the people who partake in it. Okay. And so that's one version of DeFi that I hear about. I don't think that that's where DeFi needs to end up or needs to evolve to. That kind of is where it is right now, but you start to see a lot more protocols that are centralized to the point to where there's a security factor. You feel good about who you're, participating with. But the true spirit of DeFi to me is decentralizing what I call, the capitalistic model of the current and past, right, is really centered around a top-down distribution of wealth. So let's look at a traditional bank. You go in, you put your money in the bank, and you get no value other than it's safe. Right. I mean, there's a lot of places, the blockchain is probably safer to put your money in if you know what you're doing, and it'll get safer and safer. But, the people still want something that feels safe to them. And having with some of these other protocols like BankSocial and some of these other protocols that are out there where you have a team, you have a company, but at the same time, the people, what I'm calling social capitalism, where it's no longer top down, it's a network effect of if you participate in the system and you stake into the system, you have the ability to benefit. So that's the decentralized finance nature. Essentially, me and you, not as CEOs, but as users of the system, other companies or other people or whoever's part of the decentralized system being able to benefit from the use of that system. So that's where I think DeFi is trying to go, and that's where BankSocial is on that side of DeFi, where everybody benefits, but you still have the security of knowing that it's not just a bunch of guys all around the world that you don't know who's pushing the button, but it's decentralized. Hey, great, there's a DAO, it's decentralized, we're good, let's go, let's start spending money. That's not how we get the masses, the every people to jump in.
Okay, yeah. No,
Does that
that's
make
interesting.
sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Because I'm just ever since I heard about MakerDAO, Compound, now there are so many DeFi platforms coming in. So but I think I just find it interesting, like with your project, you're trying to focus on the local level. I guess not local level, but I guess between individuals, and from then on it's trying to grow.
So, the protocol's name is BankSocial, right? And initially what we came out with was decentralized peer-to-peer lending. So there's no, there's no bank that's making a loan and making all the benefit, and your only benefit as a user is that you have a safe place to put your money, because that's how banks work right now, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You go in, you put in $100,000, that's it. Your $100,000 will stay there. That's about it, though. And then they'll use your money. Technically, what happens in a traditional bank, technically in America, in most places around the world, is when you go deposit money, you actually have given them that money, and they write you an IOU. In the contract you sign with them, you have an IOU that they owe you that money. But now you've told them that they can use it to lend. Okay? So in a BankSocial ecosystem, the opposite is true. That's yours. We've created a contract between people that will essentially facilitate the movement of those peer-to-peer loans around the blockchain for you to benefit from, for really everybody on the ecosystem that's utilizing it to benefit from. But that's not where it stops. So that's just the piece that we introduced out the gate because it was the most unique piece, asset-backed lending. So nobody's really doing on a mass scale asset-backed lending, mortgages, auto loans, business loans, things like that. The name, though, BankSocial, really implies a much broader ecosystem than just loans, right? It really implies a future banking system where the people who participate are the ones who benefit, both from being able to, I think that one of the things I hear a lot of people say is it's very hard to be a world traveler in today's financial world. You have to basically prep before you go anywhere or do anything or spend money somewhere. You have to prep, right? You have to turn on your credit cards or call your credit card companies and, tell them you're going to be spending here. Or if you're buying something online, it gets shut down because it's out of the country and they didn't recognize.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a very small part of it. But even when we're looking at lending, the banks decide who gets the loans, and it's not possible for somebody in the Philippines to fund a car loan in the United States. It just doesn't exist, right? Unless you're a multi-billionaire in the Philippines. And so, we're aiming to create this backbone, this financial backbone that not only people but other platforms can build on in the form of BankSocial, really reimagining an evolution of banking systems to the blockchain.
Yeah, no, this is interesting. Yeah, because there's no real interest because the funny thing is, many of my friends, even some of I guess some of my colleagues, also in the financial services space too, they don't really know how money is created, how the Federal Reserve works and all that stuff. They don't really get the once the money enters the banking system, it's really an IOU kind of deal. So.
Well, it almost turns out to be, in the U.S. banking system, for example, you have the ability to do 10-to-1 or 100-to-1
fractional reserve banking
on a dollar. Yeah, fractional reserve banking. So essentially, everybody, not a lot of people know what fractional reserve banking is, but it's like the ability to take $1 and lend it out 100 times or 10 times or 50 times. So essentially, you're creating leveraged assets and borrowing somebody's borrowed money, and it's, you get to the point to where you've got this system of leverage that, it only exists in computer systems because there's no physical money to back it up. And that's like in 2008 when you had the crash. These are the types of systems and financial models that kept that system from being able to be sustained, right? Crashing down on itself, the over leveraged nature of it. So, the money flowing in, right? Like, for example, in the United States right now, they just printed 30% of all money that's ever been printed, just got printed in the last year.
Yeah. Glad you said that because I'm not the only one who's saying it. That many other people were saying the same thing. I'm not gonna go as far as to say it's good or bad. I'm not gonna claim to in the traditional financial model to say that it's good or bad. But I will say that it's something that we should be focused on because at the end of the day, it's unprecedented.
this much entry of additional funds. And if we look at it and we say at the end of the day, let's say the argument from governments and people who are making these decisions is that it's not a bad thing. That's great for crypto, because I think we see the same thing in crypto. We see an unlimited amount. I mean, look at these tokens that launch with quadrillions of supply. And so you're really looking at a similar concept there and I think the cool thing about it, and we're really, with crypto, we're exploring an uncharted territory, because, in traditional financial tools, you don't really have like functions of burn, right? You don't really have the concept of, you do have the concept of, like 10 decimal places. I mean, look at some of the currencies of Africa, where they get devalued to the point to where, it takes 10 billion Zimbabwean dollars to get $1, right? And, but some of these concepts that the blockchain offers, I think create this, what I'm calling social capitalistic economic system, where the people, it's no longer the governments that pick the winners and losers. It's the people that pick the winners and losers based off the best protocols, And that's the real interesting shift here, is that for the first time ever in the history of humankind, I believe, not only do you have the transparency of financial movement, but the people have been given the ability to control the where and the when. And then on top of that, I mean, look at me and you right now. You're in Dubai. I'm in the United States, and we're talking about crypto. We would not have been probably talking about this had this not been today's day and age with crypto. And the interesting thing here, like, let me give an example of Afghanistan. Afghanistan right now, if you were in Afghanistan and you had crypto, you were safe. You're safe right now. You can pay your way out. Have you heard about these stories?
Yeah, I did. And just an interesting side note about Afghanistan. In terms of crypto adoption, I think Afghanistan's in the top 20 right now, which blew my mind. Which blew my mind. I'm like, wait, what? Like, so but please go ahead.
Not calling anybody out, but the people there just took all the money. The powers that be just took all the money and left. And so, what the future looks like for me is when we create these decentralized socio-capitalistic models of, community involvement, social involvement. I don't want to have a war with Afghanistan when half of my community members are in Afghanistan, or 20% or 15%. I don't want that. Right. I don't want that. And for the first time ever, we're seeing that there's a way for not only the decentralized financial aspect of these things, but the decentralization of culture and societies.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, true. Yeah. I know. I mean, we are the living testament right now. You know what I mean? Like
we're living testament right now. Like, I'm sure we'll be friends after this and for a long time. And I would never want anything to happen over there, because I know that you're over there, and I don't want that to happen. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
I like you. You look like a really cool person, and so I don't want that to happen. And I think that's one of the features of cryptocurrencies that, I think a lot of the people at the top of the cryptocurrency food chain right now, they don't want to say these types of things because they know that they're true, but they don't want to, tick off any, governments. But I will say it. I will say it because
me too. I mean, no, I'm agreeing with you. Like, I guess when it comes to, with cryptos, personally for me, it's my way of fighting the powers not meant to be. You know what I mean?
I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday. One of the things, like when you look at these SEC cases and you look at how now, actually on my podcast the other day, I had an attorney and a law professor from King's College in London joined me yesterday on my podcast.
Wow. Okay.
Is pretty cool. And we talked about, the legal side of things. And one of the things that I came out of that with was the SEC right now, right or wrong. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just going to point out some facts. They're fighting with Ripple. And if you look at when the SEC started, why it started, what their purpose was, before that, you had these behemoths like Chase, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. You have these financial institutions that were doing the exact same thing that these cryptocurrency institutions are doing now, but they did it before the SEC was there. So they had the ability to win at all costs, right? At all costs. Do what they did, and then when they got in power, then they said, you know what, we're gonna control this model now, and we're gonna put things in place to where we can pick. And oh, by the way, if a company comes up and we like it, we get first dibs on buying it, right? Because that's how that works.
Yeah.
The laws are made right now to give the people with money the ability to make more money, and that to me is what DeFi breaks down. DeFi breaks that component down. It doesn't just decentralize like who's building. I think that's dangerous. I think to decentralize the who is managing and building, it becomes dangerous. And you see that in the form of scams right now. I mean, you've seen scams, right? All over the place.
Yeah. No, speaking of scams, I mean, especially Dubai sometimes comes in the limelight. I mean, you see a lot of scams like, New York, maybe in LA, all these so-called DeFi projects. But unfortunately, Dubai gets a bad rap because a lot of these guys, they come to Dubai, they showcase the high life. Hey, this is what I'm doing in crypto or Forex, that kind of deal. So, and especially Dubai gets a lot of bad attention, but there are a lot of good stuff going on. But yeah, I guess also Dubai is such a unique place. It's between
Central.
Yeah, Central, right? Like you got Southeast Asia, then south you got Africa, then on the left west you got Europe. So a lot there's a lot happening in
and
Dubai.
Money.
There's a lot of money. There is.
That's important.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, if you see all these tall buildings, all these real estates rising out from the deserts,
Ocean. Of the ocean, what about the ones rising out of the ocean? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot of real estate projects that are happening still. I mean, there are some canceled out, but there's some. There are a lot of projects happening, but still. But that's the thing about. I guess a lot of people know about all these scams and stuff. So, I think when it comes to change the narrative when it comes to crypto or some of the DeFi projects, there needs to be a lot of education, And
that's one of the things we're doing is at BankSocial, we have an education series, for example. I think to me it's twofold. Okay, I think to keep people safe and to onboard new people in a safe way, it's twofold. The one is education, because the people who are in here need to be educated. The people in the crypto space need to be educated enough to educate new people that come in and to keep themselves safe. Because the more people that get scammed, especially somebody who's like dipping their toe in the water, they haven't really explored it. They're not computer people, but they're like, you know what? I'm going to take the plunge because I want to see if I can change the financial world and change my life with crypto. Get in early. Now the people can be what the Chases and all these centralized authorities were, 100 years ago. The people have the ability to do this and make themselves a families. But, aside from education and educating people, we really have to have a renaissance of applications that bridge a Web 2.0 world to a Web 3.0 world. And what I mean by that is, you can't, to bring on the masses, they can't come in and connect their, wallets to the pancake fork with syrup and, get it poured on their address. And they're going to be like, what the heck just happened? What am I, IHOP? Do I need to go to IHOP to do this? And you're from Texas, so you might know what
I know.
IHOPs are.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. We do have IHOP here in Dubai, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well,
we do.
Look at that.
Except what we don't have is Chipotle
Whataburger
and Chick-fil-A and, of course, Whataburger. They don't. I know.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Pray for them.
But actually, it's better that you guys don't have that. That's a whole different. We could go into that. I think it's better that you don't have all these fast foods and things like that. It's just not good food. It's not good food. But we won't go into that.
All right.
But that's what I think needs to happen. The sexiness of getting in, it feeling natural. It feels like the Web 2.0 world, because we had the same thing happen in the internet in the late 90s. You know, like in the late 90s, if you didn't know how to use bulletin boards, and if you didn't know the real underpinnings of how these connected computers and networks worked, all you were doing was going online and chatting, you know, through AOL. Maybe you were sending and receiving email, you know, but it wasn't until after, you know, the crash where all these companies came on, and then they all crashed out, and then Amazon came out of it. And then, you know, all these big, massive behemoths that made it sexy to do your daily life stuff on the internet. Then you had the surgence of apps and all those kinds of things. We're right at the crash right now. You know, we're coming out of the crash of what I would, you know, equate to how the crash of the internet happened, but it's happening faster at a more higher adoption rate than the internet happened, because everybody has a phone in their pocket.
True.
So along with education, we have to make it sexy. We have to make the on-ramp. It has to be easy. And that's what BankSocial is focused on. My background is in, you know, I have a tech background, and my background is in building retail, you know, from the ground up, retail financial platforms, whether that's payment gateways, whether that's omnichannel retail systems from point of sale to websites to warehousing systems, and interconnectivity between them all, seamless interconnectivity, both for the user. So, you know, buy online, pick up, and we were actually the pioneers of those types of technologies about 12, 13 years ago. And so, you know, we, having built those systems, I understand and I see the need more so than anything in the crypto space. Like, everybody's begging for that. In our chat, in our BankSocial chat all day, we get people saying, man, I've got somebody who's ready to get some BankSocial, but they just have to take 6 steps and they don't want to do it. What can they do? So, you know, we're building, for example, a payment gateway. We're about to release a wallet. We're about to do this interconnectivity that makes these processes intuitive. They have to be so simple and intuitive. That's the two features of crypto that will take this thing to the next level. We'll survive the chasm. We're climbing out of all these people right now are trying to climb out of this canyon, right? Yeah. And it's us. It's the evangelists. We love it. I don't care if I've got to go to PancakeSwap and then connect my wallet to something else and bridge. I don't care. I'll do it in 10 seconds, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
But we have to get rid of that. That has to go away in crypto. Unfortunately, I mean, I think it's good because, you know, at the end of the day, we want as many people in crypto as fast as possible and as safe as possible as we can do it.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. And I think the one thing that comes to my mind is the user experience. Because earlier I was just teaching my friends, you know, first of all, how to buy a Bitcoin or buy, you know, using either using a credit card or something. So, because I do remember, like long time ago, I did learn about Bitcoin and stuff, but earlier I didn't understand cryptography or, you know, the Austrian economics behind it and all that stuff, that kind of deal. But now you got all, like, you know, Bitcoin.com wallet. It's so friendly, so easy to look at. It's, it's like any other application, you know. So something familiar.
Using it is not so easy yet. Using it, right?
Yeah, true. I mean, the buying it is easy, but in terms of like when it comes to BTC, like in terms of, you know, on the retail level, like, you know, to buy something or whatever, I don't know, it's not that friendly. So
it's scary almost. People get scared.
Yeah,
is what I see.
I'm glad you said that. I think a lot of, I guess the newer folks, you know, they will definitely agree with you, because for them it's kind of overwhelming. Like
exactly.
It's all alphanumeric numbers and
wallet addresses. Like, people don't want to see all that. You know, they're not used to these types of things. And to ask, like, think about your mom and my mom and your dad and my dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not, you know, my mom's Turkish. So she's, you know, she moved here when she was 13, 14, 15. And, you know, she just doesn't have she wants to do it. She called me when I started BankSocial, kind of a funny story. My blockchain experience goes back very early. I was a pretty early adopter of Bitcoin. I used to go to Western Union and send money via Western Union to get Bitcoin in the early days, like in early 2010. Wow. And then I started mining it and all this kind of stuff. But, my mom, when she called me and she said, hey, I want to buy some Dogecoin, like this was about 6 months ago, I said, okay, the masses are ready now. So I need to get on crypto.
of all coins, dude, that's crazy. That's
of all coins.
Of all coins, right? I mean, really, like, man, that's funny.
But that just goes to show you that, of all coins, Doge being like, she could have bought Bitcoin. She could have bought Ethereum. She bought some Ethereum, but she could have bought Bitcoin because that's in the news most. She could have bought Ethereum. She could have bought any number of tokens who claim to be more utility than Dogecoin, and she didn't. She bought Doge. So that just goes to show you that people can, what I was saying before, where you have this socioeconomic stratosphere of people being able to choose who they want to win, what they want to win. If they want Doge to win, Doge can win. It's not just a handful of companies that a government entity has decided are the best, and I mean, frankly, while the government does, I think the government should not be out of the systems. Okay. I'm not advocating for no regulatory frameworks at all. I think they're super critical, and I think they're super important. Okay, for many reasons. I think we should pay taxes. I think we should every part of the ecosystem that exists currently. But I do think there is a need to reevaluate the way governments look at this, evolution to a system that's more equitable for the people who are running these systems anyway. I mean, when a company is started, if it doesn't have users, forget about it. Doesn't matter. You can have the best idea in the world, and if you don't have users, so the users and the people should not just be paid in great product, right? Because that's the economy now. Is you're a user, you give value, and the company gives you back a great product. That's good. Okay. I'm not saying that that's not a good model, but there are some industries that have become antiquated to the point, especially when we talk about the underpinnings of the financial systems. Yeah. They're antiquated to the point. I'm not talking about an iPhone that it takes years of research and development and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and you pay for it and you get a great product back. Although I do think that in the future, even these types of systems will have some type of, loyalty return on your investment, right? But when you look at the traditional financial models and how antiquated they are, the top-down structure of, to me, the reason I never go into a Chase Bank personally, and when I do, let me not say never. The only time I go in, I don't go in because I need money. I go in because their online system is so bad that the data doesn't exist online, and I need it for some reason, whether I'm getting a car or doing this or doing that, and I need that data, and are forced to go into the store to find it. That's it. And so these antiquated systems, I should not, in today's day and age, there's no reason why I should ever have to go into a store. I mean, quite frankly, ATMs can handle 95% of what, there's literally AIs that, I was on Amazon, a package didn't get delivered to me. I clicked through about 3 steps, and it reordered my package for me. Like, it figured out what was going on, reordered my package for me, and did it. Like, we can live with, 70% AI solutions at this point. I'm not saying shut all the stores down, or even BankSocial when it does what it wants to do. It could still have locations, but in Dallas, for example, there's 50 Chase locations. Just don't see the need, other than to justify we need to make profit so that the guys at the top can make millions and billions per year.
True. Man, no, because
they're gonna hate me.
Oh yeah, no, because see, I also had. I used to have a Wells Fargo account. Then I had a Centennial, which is more like a regional bank kind of deal. But as far as when it comes to the traditional financial space, definitely I agree with you. I mean, it in many ways it is sort of, it is a legacy, sort of a legacy institution. It's in many ways they're sort of slow to adapt or whatever, that kind of deal.
Well, think about this, okay? Think about this. They're not slow to adapt there are some reasons that make sense to be slow to adapt. Like, you wouldn't have want to been the first company using 128-bit encryption, or 64-bit encryption or something like that back in the day as a bank, right? You might want to wait and adopt that technology after it's been, fleshed out a little bit. But one thing that I believe in, if you've ever read the book Good to Great, okay? In the book Good to Great, there's a very powerful message in that what the book is about. Just to give a quick preface of the book is about taking companies that are competitors and then looking at the metrics of what took one from good to great and what made the other one just kind of stale out and die. Okay. Gotcha. And one of the concepts that it comes back to is that the technology itself is hardly ever a difference maker because somebody else can come up with that technology. So what we're talking about here, blockchain is the technology, but if banks just take their existing financial models of having all these stores and needing all this money and doing business in the same way, and they just take their ledgers and put them on the blockchain, that's a waste of money and integration and time. Don't do that. That's waste. If you're a bank out there and you're trying to move your stuff to the blockchain to say you're on the blockchain, don't waste your time. The evolution that needs to happen is to this decentralized where the people participate and where the people win. And what that does is that starts taking profits out of the hands of these big companies. And that's why their evolution to these systems, not to blockchain itself, but to this new fundamental model of the people participating in DeFi is almost impossible for them to do. I mean, could you imagine if Chase tried to do this? They would have to shut down 95% because they're going to be redistributing profits back to the people. And so, that's a very difficult thing to do. And in the new world, you could really almost, just to finish the thought, in the new world, you can almost run a company with the equivalency of an impact of Chase, same market cap, same everything, with a couple hundred people. Maximum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, no, to me, it's kind of like clash between two business models. Sometimes I also kind of see it as a revolution in terms of money, information, evolution. Evolution.
Yeah,
okay,
it's not a revolution. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah. Yeah. No, I can see like three things at the same time: the evolution of money and information and the internet. And I don't know, it's just I'm just fascinated. I was try to, I guess, predict the future, see the future, how things are gonna be. So, do you have some sort of a futuristic view when it comes to DeFi? I try to predict the future, but I also like to make the future. So okay.
So, I'm not just putting out a prediction. I'm putting out a vision of how, as Steve Jobs would say, we make a dent in the universe and change something for the better going forward. So what I see is in the very short term, let's call it 3 to 5 years, I see a transformation to systems, again, where the social capitalistic model starts to refine into the space to where people are rewarded for being people and for being humans and for being themselves. And the reward and the staking is going to be something that you can do wherever you feel like you fit best. And I think that because of this type of transformation, we're going to have and maybe this doesn't start until a little bit further along because governments really need to be, they really need to be shifted away. They need to lose a grasp in a lot of ways on some of these pillars that they're keeping up. But in 10 to 15 years, seeing a place where you have this breakdown of borders to the effect of the world unifying across, not everybody just coming together, but economic groups forming and building power around their financial prowess. Okay, because I mean, the world works on money. Let's look at the Revolutionary War, right?
Right.
The Revolutionary War. The one thing that the revolutionists in the United States were lacking was money. That was it. Like if they had the money, they would have been able to win the war a lot faster. That's what we have. Like at the core of all these things that we have to remember is that's why the scamming, the education, it needs to stop, because the more money that gets scammed out of the system, the weaker and weaker it becomes financially. And that's what we've got to do. So in the next, let's call it 7 to 12 years, I see the evolution to these financially stable and significant and statistically significant groups of or pools of capital that have power to do things on a global scale. I mean, think of the Shiba Army, right? I'm gonna just talk about it like a token right now. Think of the Shiba Army. It's a year old. I mean, Doge is, back in what, 2013, 2014?
Yeah, almost like 7 years ago, right? So, yeah.
I think more than that, 7-8 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And it took it that long. But look at something like the Shiba Inu token, or even something that I started with, 5 months ago, Kishu Inu. It got up to like a $2 billion market cap. The amount of people... now, it's not going to be a meme token world. These things actually have to start providing utility to keep people around long term. True. I'm just looking in terms of how fast capital was able to come into a model, into a group, and how dedicated these 100,000, 200,000. Look at SafeMoon. You're familiar with SafeMoon.
Yeah,
right?
I heard about it. Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So SafeMoon has an army of however many are real. Maybe they're not, maybe it's only 20%, 30% real, but even 300,000, 400,000 people, that's a small city.
True. Yeah.
And they have $2 billion behind them. Like that's a small city. That's a small country financially.
Yeah. I mean, they could buy some island in the Caribbean and start their own nation.
No,
like
they
a startup
could buy
nation.
many. Yeah, they can buy many islands, 3 or 4 islands with that capital that they actually have in liquidity.
Yeah.
And so these types when you start looking at how interesting these economic groups become from it's hard to be a single voice. Even if you're a multimillionaire, your platform is only so large. But if you have hundreds of thousands of people who each have a small stake, right? And they're getting their reflections and they're getting some increase in value, but now they have a community that they can believe in. And when they want a movement to happen, they not only have the money, but they have the voice. And this is where the revolution is no longer a revolution. It's an evolution, because now you've evolved past the state of having to rely on somebody outside of your group to make change.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking like into the group, but also as an individual. Now, like say for example, me, like if I'm using all these DeFi platforms, like it's my chance, my opportunity to actually have income mobility for a lot of people. Like for a lot of people, I can see that if once people start getting that idea, wait a minute, instead of like working 9 to 5, in a cubicle, but if I'm able to generate wealth, I have the mobility to work and move anywhere. I mean, like, and then on top of that, the social aspect comes in. I mean, it's just incredible to just think about it.
Right now, creating wealth is a thing because we're early. Okay, but as we get, right now, I think I was talking with the doctor the other day, $22 trillion of global economic volume yearly. And right now, the crypto space has about 2 trillion of that. So 8%, 7 to 8% of the total financial volume going through the world's financial systems, 7 to 8% is in crypto. Right now, there's a chance to make money, but the future state is more so being part of a community. You can still make money because of all the DeFi programs that will allow you to stake and loan, and then you get benefits off of it, and that will still exist, and you'll be able to create generational wealth. I don't know that you'll be able to, in 10 years, quit your job because, you might be able to find a protocol that you get into, but right now, if you get in, Yeah, absolutely. As you ride this wave up, for sure, be an early adopter. That's why I think why we're here. But in the future state, in the 3 to 5 year state, or maybe even less, where the benefit comes in is being able to, like if you have crypto, and you're making all this money, or you're getting wealth returned back to you in the form of dividends or payments or whatever that is, the ability to use that seamlessly, both online and offline. So, BankSocial's working on debit cards, BankSocial's working on crypto gateways, BankSocial's working on, these financial underpinnings that other protocols can layer on top of, so that we can be the banking system of the future. Right. Looking at it.
Okay.
Let's start from scratch. Let's not bring in old heads that just have this concept of the existing financial system. Let's start from scratch with a brand new system that works for the people, a bank for the people. Right.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. And a bank for the communities that want to truly serve people, not just make the people beholden to them, right? Mm-hmm. So,
right, yeah.
That's where I see the 3 to 5 year plan for the future of what crypto really does, and it might come faster than that. It might come in the next year and a half. We'll see. We'll see what governments do. Governments have the ability to slow this down, not stop it, but and that was one of the things I was talking about with Dr. Schillig the other day was. Crypto, while it's not too big to fail, it's still not big enough for governments to not slow it down. So,
right.
like when I started in 2010, if the governments would have came out and, really done a heavy hand on the dark web and shut it down, then we probably would have been not talking about Bitcoin right now, quite frankly. Crypto right now.
And thank goodness that didn't happen, though.
It didn't.
Yeah. They just basically kind of laughed about it and was like, it's just kind of like a joke.
They shut down the places they needed to shut down that were like trading people, and I mean, I'm not down for any of that kind of shit,
No, sure. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
But because they didn't, crypto got to the point to where now I think if they start, it's going to be playing whack-a-mole. Shut this down, something else pops up over here. Especially since that's why I love open source code. It's beautiful. It's going to exist. There's no way you can't convince me that there's a way without shutting off significant portions of the internet and taking down master nodes all over the world, that shutting down decentralized finance with open source code is possible. That it would have to be a major effort from governments to the point to where people are going to be like, you just shut down the internet. So I don't
that's
think
the only
that's
answer. But because I remember a couple of months ago when I attended this blockchain conference, and they talked about the only way they could shut down, cryptocurrencies is shut down the internet. But if they do that, that is an economic suicide for everyone. It's like what do you call? Measure of last resort. I don't know, but that's no one's going to do that. They're they just have to. I guess the regulators will have to learn how to cooperate or accept the new normal or something, or adapt. So, but yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it's next to impossible to shut down everything, because now slowly, there'll be more guys like you who are coming up with their own solutions. They're coming up with their own. How do you say, DAOs or whatever that could actually solve a lot of the problems in the marketplace and create more value, so yeah. Exactly.
And the other thing that I'm really encouraged by is that there are many countries that have wholeheartedly taken in crypto as a economic evolution, and they want to be on the forefront of it. And I'm not talking about small places. I'm talking about behemoths in the financial industry, like Switzerland, like Singapore. I mean, these are not insignificant places. Switzerland has been a financial hub for that. I mean, it's literally the size of DFW. And more money flows through there than probably any other country in the entire world. Same with Singapore. I mean, Singapore is a very small area. So the fact that there are these powerhouse financial areas that have not only just regulated but wholeheartedly have embraced it as the picture of what the future needs to be is extremely encouraging to me. That's why I'm bullish, not on making tons of money here. That's not something that I really focus on. But for the first time again, the Ponzi scheme, I talked about this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago. The Ponzi scheme doesn't exist in crypto. And the reason why it doesn't exist in crypto, it doesn't exist in a visible blockchain. It might in some blockchains, but on Ethereum, if you're transacting on the blockchain and you can see where every dollar that you're putting into the system is going, is there a developer taking it out? Is somebody else selling it? Are they taking your tokens and giving them to somebody else? I mean, that's not a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is when you give a guy $50 and you're like, where the fuck did that money go? I have no idea.
Right.
And then he gives you 25 back tomorrow. And you're like, where did that come from? I have no idea. So crypto, blockchain, things like Ethereum cannot be Ponzi schemes. Okay. And so
true. Yeah.
For the first time ever, our societies have the ability to have a true visibility into the financial underpinnings. Where is it going? How is it happening? And that's why we have the power to pick the winners and losers. We're not going to be in a situation like with Goldman Sachs where they're, doing something that's over leveraging and creating derivatives. We can actually look at that as smart people, because not all of us have to be smart, just a statistically significant portion, and say, hey, whoa. Look at what's happening here on the blockchain. Look at this AI that I've built that's following DeFi projects and calling out the ones that are doing leverage buying. And how do you think they're getting companies like Binance? I mean, look at the beauty of this. Let's talk about this real quick. Binance has been scrutinized and tracked, and they're potentially stopping Binance from doing things that could have large financial implications because of how they're trading derivatives. Okay.
Right.
You didn't get that when Lehman Brothers and Goldman Sachs was doing it. Why? Because nobody fucking knew. Excuse my language.
I agree. I know. At least 6 months later, they figured it out. I mean, that was crazy.
Same thing with Enron. Back in the early 2000s. Nobody knew.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Who was the guy before Gary Gensler?
What is it, Henneman? Heineman?
No, he had this. I guess he's like a New Yorker guy, like an Italian name. I forgot.
Let me see. I'm looking it up right quick.
Because I remember him. He made the statement a long time ago that if we had the blockchain, just right before the financial crisis, they could have been able to, They were able to find out that Lehman Brothers, I mean, they were running on smoke for like 6 months till it crashed. You know what I mean? To me that was crazy. I remember, it was 2008. Then right after 2009, I remember that was the time I just graduated. That was
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
you're absolutely right.
I was just saying, man, it was just like, wow, just seeing, people leaving Lehman Brothers. I think I remember some guys I know who were, I guess they had entry level positions at Lehman Brothers or some other these insurance institutions and all that stuff. Man, it was a rough awakening. And I remember, some of the people like in West Texas, a lot of people are working for that Tyson group, the meatpacking plant. I mean, we have because a lot of Hispanics. I remember many of these people had their retirement funds. It was 401. It was 401k, then it became 1k. And then they had to leave.
That's great.
Yeah, no, but it was crazy. It was painful to watch because these guys, they left, then they joined, then Walmart was able to bring them in, but they had to start all over again after 25 years.
And the excuse was nobody knew. That's the excuse. We didn't know.
Yeah. We had guys. See it. Yeah. I remember Dr. Ron Paul. He was talking about it. I remember Michael Burry later on, after his his quarrel with with the
Prophecy.
FDA. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, then you got Robert Kiyosaki and all. Like, I mean, there were many of these folks who did talk about it, but then obviously there's so many other people, they just didn't want to deal with it because that time they were making money, like out of all these subprime loans and stuff. So
Yeah.
and what's that other stuff? This collateralized debt obligations, CDOs or whatever.
Yeah. Debt swaps and collateralized debt swaps. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. So there's nothing wrong with trying new techniques. Okay.
Right.
The wrong thing is not giving the people who are financing, because it's us, it's people.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not just getting that money out of thin air and just, using it for whatever they want. It's coming from people at the end of the day. Right? Whether that's through government subsidies, I'm getting taxed for that. You're getting taxed for that. Okay? So we're financing that, or we're putting money in via our 401k, or, we're divesting that 401k into 20 different, subgroups or whatever that is. I want to be able to see it, or have somebody that I trust and follow be able to see it and advise me on, hey, look, there's something going on here. It may or may not be illegal, but at least we can see it, follow this money, and look at where it's going. Right now, we can't see any of that. And that's the core of when I talk about why we need to make this evolution. That's the core reason, is for the people to be able to make the best decision possible. And I'm not talking about for, the DAO to run every company. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm not a proponent of, pure DeFi and, every single person has a vote on every single idea that ever could come up, and they're running the company. That's not a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I don't. It's not a good. It's not a good. Not for every protocol. It might be for some, but not for every protocol. I mean, you definitely want, people who are focused on making these decisions all day, making them. But at the same time, the people staking value into those systems, they need to have the visibility into what's going on if they want to pull their money out or de-stake, right?
Oh, right.
Because right now, I mean, think of the bad side of this. What about when a corporate takeover happens and you have somebody coming in from the outside who just wants to FUD and just wants to buy it as cheap as possible? So they get a couple news articles written, they, turn some things upside down, and then they go in and they do a leveraged buyout for, pennies on the dollar because of nobody knew what was going on. They just thought this company was a bad company, and they couldn't look at the financials, the fundamentals, and they just got rid of it. That won't exist on the blockchain. You'll have people that are dedicated to saying, what this guy's saying is bullshit. Look at how much inflow they have. Look at how much outflow they have. Look at how much revenue they're building over here. Look at the kind of products they're getting out into the world. And for the first time, people will be able to make a decision on saying, that's bullshit. Go buy it on the open market. You want to get into this company like us? Win Lambo? Come buy some, some tokens,
That's my favorite one. Win Lambo. But yeah. Oh man. But yeah. No, but I tell you what, like, I'm just excited to learn a lot about DeFi. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people who are experimenting new ideas when it comes to DeFi and stuff, and I'm just looking forward to it. And also, but I'm also so glad that you're putting a lot of interesting stuff, like with BankSocial, and also I guess you also have your like a block score system kind of deal. Like if you could,
we've got a lot of different techniques. Yeah, I mean the things that we put out there were really the things that that we're doing that are different from everybody. So the block score, think about that like a sovereign. Trying to, without giving away the actual, what's working behind the scenes before we release it, but it provides you with the ability to remain sovereign with your data, but in a way that's reusable on the internet. So think of it right now, or in Web3. Think of it right now when you go and you apply for a loan here, or you sign up for something here. Almost every time you're going in there, putting your social, putting this, putting that.
Right.
And then they're going, checking your credit, checking your scores, doing this, doing that. The block score will be a protocol that will allow other other entities to say, hey, we're going to check who you are, if you're really somebody that you say you are, what your profile looks like, what your credit score looks like, what your social credit score looks like, and we're going to determine it based off that. And we will be a trustless, self-sovereigning system that allows you as the user to control all of your data while at the same time fully providing it in a transparent way, in a way that doesn't divulge any of your information, private information, unless you want it to, of course, to anybody you want to interact with on the internet, as far as either, somebody as a user, or like if you're doing peer-to-peer lending, the people on the other side want to know that you're a real person, that you have the ability to pay back the credit. But at the same time, you don't just want to give your information out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That says they want to provide you a loan. Like that's a system for rampant abuse.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Because I know, like in the States, but you got your credit scoring system, like a TransUnion, Experian, and what's the third one?
It's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax.
Equifax. Yeah. Good thing you said Equifax, because I remember they had a hack. They're like maybe say 4 million accounts. The info was leaked out and stuff. So, yeah. I mean, and that is like really sensitive information, So
see, and that's the other thing, is that when you have systems like Equifax, okay, let's just look at Equifax, okay. I've dealt with their APIs and their data systems. They expose your data, and then they put the reliance on who's ever taking your data to keep it secure. And so because it's exposed to the outside, it's at risk. Versus if you could take somebody's data one time in the single transmission and lock it completely behind scenes and just provide a tokenization to that data, that data never has to leave the secure confines. I mean, literally one of the only ways it could get hacked would be for somebody to have keys to that room, get in there, open it up, and take it out by hand. And as you squeeze down the doors, everything is hackable. Okay. So you can't say it will never be hacked, because there could be bad actors, like the Poly network hack that happened a few weeks back. You're aware of this, the $600 million.
Right. Yeah.
That's looking more and more to me like it was possibly somebody who, left the keys out to a hot wallet, and somebody saw those keys and they got access to it. Right. Not necessarily a brute force hack of a network and something, like, oh shit, they left the door open. They did technically, but it was a door that should have been closed.
Yeah.
Right. So the ability for us in the new world to tokenize and to provide sovereignty to your data in a manner that has never existed before is what I'm really excited about in this space. So BlockScore is one of those technologies. We're also building a payment solution technology. That other protocols can layer on and layer into. Our goal, again, is to provide at BankSocial legitimacy to the space, from being a centralized authority of people that are verified, regulated, trusted. But again, putting those systems, building technologies that allow the people to be the beneficiaries of the value created.
All right. Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Yeah. No, anyway, I'll tell you what. I know we are.
We could talk all day.
I know. No, definitely. I know. I mean, we can talk a lot. I mean, to me, I just really love the space, and I think comparing my experience with the traditional finance or what I'm saying crypto, like or the blockchain space, the folks who are in the crypto and the blockchain space, they love to solve problems. They see some issues. They want to create something that will alleviate the pain or, increase the value. But when I see in the traditional financial space, a lot of times I always get hit with, there's regulations, or no, they can't do that, or no, we can't do this, or there's a lot of bureaucracy kind of deal, So I think that's what kind of, I guess, inspires me, and I feel really highly positive about it, So, but just to end this there's not going to be the last episode. There's going to be way more. They definitely want to talk more about BankSocial. But I just want to ask you.
Yeah, I'd love to.
About like how did you get into crypto? What inspired you? And
oh man, okay,
yeah.
I'll keep it short. So, by the way, I want you to come on my podcast and we'll talk about some stuff too. So,
cool.
But let me tell you real quick. So, I got into crypto, Bitcoin, of course. Here's an interesting fact that before we start this, blockchain wasn't invented in 2009. By the way. Blockchain was invented in 1991 for the purpose of providing immutability to documents, PDFs specifically. So, blockchain is something that I'd seen before and looked at as far as, again, a secure way, a trustless way to protect data and keep data immutable. So when Bitcoin came out in 2009, of course, I wasn't there right when it came out, but I was leading a team of developers in a company that I was working at. And one of the developers, we went to lunch one day, and this was probably late 2009, early 2010. And he came to me and he said, hey, you should check out this, because, I'm like a real, techno geek, right? And he goes, you should check out this it's going to be the future of money. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. And I went and I said, oh man, this is really cool, right? I immediately understood the technology. I immediately understood kind of the future use cases. My biggest concern was that, and this wasn't the concern at the beginning. So what I did was, like I told you, I started going to Western Union to get Bitcoin, to accumulate Bitcoin. And then I started playing with mining. So what I would do is, Google used to give, now you can get free instances, but the free instances, they're not powerful enough to mine Bitcoin. But back in the day, you could spin up free instances through their APIs, and you could mine Bitcoins on the fly, right? And this was the very, very beginning of cloud, when cloud was just starting to come online. And so they were trying to get people to jump on board of cloud. And, probably in 2012, 11, 13, I started doing that and playing around with that, mining. But I was also somebody who became very skeptical around that time because of what was happening with the dark web. And, I just played around with all the Bitcoins that I was mining. I didn't have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins, but, I definitely had close to 1,000 Bitcoin at one point. But again, I just kind of, played around with them and spent them all. I still had, a couple left over, but I lost a couple wallets that had a few in them, just because I was playing around. I was just playing around. And then I got out of it, and I tried to get so many of my friends into it early on. It's just like people are doing right now. You tell everybody about it. And they were all like, you don't know what you're talking about. This is not the future of money. And I kind of got pessimistic on it until Ethereum came out in 2015, 2016, and it kind of reconfirmed my belief in that this is the new way that money was going to work, because with the programmatic way to create adherence to specific performance, right? So, being programmatically able to say, hey, if I do this, you got to do this, is I said, that's a game changer. And so I started to learn Solidity. I started to write Solidity contracts.
Right.
They were very simplistic back in the day. You couldn't do a lot with them. They've gotten a lot better since then. But, I stayed around and watched it. And then 2017, 2018 came around, and I watched the crash. And I said, man, it's not the right time right now, because there's so many scams. There's so many people who just want to make a quick buck. And it's still the same people. You're in an echo chamber screaming out. Right. My mom's not interested in this. It's too difficult.
Yeah.
And then I've always kind of just, hung out, watched what was going on, kept track of it, kept track of the technology. I was mostly interested in the technology. And then at the beginning, really at the end of last year, I've got a friend who runs a group called Nifty Culture. Okay. And they've focused on NFTs, and he's one of the friends who did listen to me early on, and he made some money in Bitcoin, and now he's making a lot of money in NFTs. And I didn't listen to him in NFTs. Like I said, these are just JPEGs. These are stupid. I'm going to be the first one to admit it. But I quickly changed my tune. Once I looked at how these non-fungible tokens were created and what their future could be. And so, started talking with him about, what he saw the future was going to be, what I saw the future was going to be. And then around the beginning of this year, I said, okay, it looks like this is an entry point for a evolutionary technology to come in. A lot of the technologies right now are run by people without a lot of background and history in technology and spaces and running businesses. Not that that's bad. It happens all the time, but it can only happen with a certain amount of people. You need some people who can bring other, practice concepts into the space. So, I said, what is missing? Just meditated on it for probably about 2 months. And like literally when my mom called me and said, I'm about to buy my Dogecoin, should I buy Dogecoin? Within 2 days, 3 days of that, I had the idea for BankSocial. And so started working on it for about 2 months, the behind the scenes of what it's going to be, how it would function, what the core ecosystem would look like, launched the token, and, here we are.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. That is really cool. Man, how you got into it. Man, that's amazing. But
one moment can change your life. Listening to one thing can change your life.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But
I feel like it wasn't just one time. It was a bunch of times. They kept knocking on my door. Crypto kept knocking. God kept saying, "Hey, crypto."
So, I think some other friends who are definitely done well in the crypto space. I mean, they have talked about it, many times, more from the investment point of view, but also from other aspect of life as well. So it's sort of similar. Like they kept learning about it many times. Only then they're like, okay, let me dive in deeper, and you can say they kind of saw the light. For me, I kind of saw the light, but then I got scared, moved away, kind of deal. But I mean, that's the whole. That one I will share in your show for sure.
You could come on and share it on my show, yeah, for sure.
Sure, yeah. But anyways, first of all, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your history and your insight, as well as what BankSocial is all about and what's the future about BankSocial. And definitely would love to learn more about it. So, and just for the folks who will be watching it on YouTube and also on my all other podcast channels, where can they learn about BankSocial?
You can go to banksocial.io. You can come to our Telegram group, t.me/banksocial. Both those areas. We'll be launching a new website here in about 2 weeks. It's going to be an amazing step up. It's going to be looking like a Fortune 100, Fortune 500 type website, as well as our blockchain wallet that we're going to be a multi-coin, multi-token blockchain wallet that we're going to be launching here in the next week. So be on the lookout for that. All the love and all the power. I really appreciate you inviting me on, and you're welcome to come on.
Thank you.
We'll have to set something up.
Thank you, so much. And congratulations in advance. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. We will talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.